guys, I'm Max, and today I wanted to talk with you about two very interesting eras. First era is brass era of cars, and secondly is vintage era of cars. Let's start it. 1895 until 1917 brass era of cars. The basis of the sport car is traced to the early 20th century's touring cars and road streets, and the term sports car would not be coined until World War I. A car considered to be a sport car years ahead for this time is in 1903 Mercedes Simplex 60 HP, described at the time as a fast touring car and decided by the Weil Maybach, described by Wilhelm Maybach and Paul Kingllor. The Mercedes, including pioneering features such as a pressed steel chassis and gated 4-speed transmission, punctured actuated overhead and LED valves, a honeycomb radiator, low tension magnetic ignition and long wheelbase, a low center of mass of the very effective suspension system. The overall result was a safe and well-balanced machine with a higher performance than any other contemporary production car. At the 1903 Gordon Bennett Cup, a production Simplex 6 HP was turned only due to a specially built 90 HP racing car being destroyed in a fire. The 16 HP famously went on to win the race. The 1910 Austria Daimler 27 of 80 is another early sports car which had succeeded in motor racing. The 27 of 80 was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, who drove the car to victory in the 1910 Prince Henry II motor race as Vauxhall and Austro Daimler, like the Mercedes Simplex 16 HP, were production fast touring cars. In 1912 Hispano Suzy Alphonse is also considered one of the earliest sport car, as it was a purpose-built high-performance two-seater production automobile. The model was named the King Alphonse XIII of Spain, patron of the car's chief designer and Houston for the Mercury. Other early sports car includes the 1905 Isotta Francisci, Typo D, the 1906 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, the 1908 Delic, the 1910 Bugatti Type 13, and the 1912 DFP 20 of 50. Early motor racing events, including the 1903 Paris Meteorite Race, 1905 until 1907 Herkomer Trophy, then 1908 until 1911 Prince Henry Tour, and the 1911 President's Montague Carl Riley. The Prince Henry Tours, which were similar to modern car relays, were among the sporting events of the period, bringing Renault to successful entrance. The Prince Henry Tour started the evolution of responsibility, large and technology adventures production sports car. In England, the development of sport cars was inhibited by the Motor Car Act 1903, which imposed a speed limit of 2 mph 32 kilometers an hour on all public roads. This led to the 1907 opening of the Brooklyn's motor circuit, which inspired the development of performance cars such as 1910 vehicle Prince Henry, 1910 Subium 20 of 16, 1910 Talbot 25 HP, 1910 Striker Square 15 HP, and 1913 Star 50 and 9 HP. Now we talk about a second era. Is 1919 until 1929 vintage era cars. Following the half in sport car production caused by World War I, Europe returned to manufacture automobile from around 1940. It was around this time that the term sport car began to appear in the motor categories, although the exact origin of the name is not known. After this, there had been much sufficient vehicles on our roads. We find that there might be the start of another era of manufacturing of great cars who will 3-4 centuries AEG vintage cars at that time. The decide which follow it become known as the vintage era, and future repair technology advances over the preceding brace era cars. Engine performance benefit from the abandonment of tax horsepower, where vehicles were taxed based on the bore and number of cylinders rather than actual power output. And the introduction of a leaded fuel, which increased power by allowing for higher compression ratios. In the early 1920s, the cost of production a racing car was not significantly higher than the road car. Therefore, several manufacturers used the design for the current year's rising car for the next year's sport car. For example, the 1921 Bellot 2LS, based on the racing car, the finished there at the 1921 French Grand Prix. The Benz 28 on 95 PS was also a successful racing car, with victories including the 1921 Coppa Florio, another approach such used by Maurice Gerges was to convert touring cars into sports cars. The first 24 hours of Le Mans race for sport car was held in 1923. Also, the two-seat sports car only completed in the smallest class, with the majority of cars entirely being four-seat fast-turning cars. The race, together with the Tourist Trophy series of races, organized after the First World War by the RAC, appealed to the public imagination and offered to the manufacturers of the more sporting cars an excellent opportunity for boosting sales of their products. The classic Italian road race at Targa Florio and the Miglia, first held in 1927, also captured the public's imagination. By 1921, the higher profits available for four-seater cars resulted in production of two-seat sport cars being limited of similar manufacturers such as Aston Martin, 315 Aston built from 1921 to 1939, and Frozen Nash, 323 cars built from 1924 to 1939. Then by the late 1920s, the cost of production rising cars, especially Grand Prix cars, escalate, causing more manufacturers to produce cars for the growing sports car market instead. Significant manufacturers of sport car is the last 1920s were AC cars, Alfa Romeo, Elvis, Emily Car began, and Samsung, Charge Volker, Delge, Hispon Suzo, Hotchkiss, Mercedes-Benz, and Nazaro. Two cars from the vintage era that would influence sports cars for many years were the Austin 7 and MG M-Type midget, a successful sport car from Bentley. During this era were the Bentley 3 Liter 1921 until 1929 and the Bentley Speed 6 1928 until 1913, with the formal famously described by Bugatti's founder as the fastest lorry in the world. This is all. See you next video. Bye.